Hey everybody, AJ the One here. How y'all doing? And I'm doing fine myself. Today we're doing part 2 to what deku was one of Boa Hancock's descendants. Last time we left off, no, I'm sorry. Anyway, here, how y'all doing? And I'm doing fine myself. Hope y'all having a nicest day as I am. And now we're continuing off the last part of What If Deku. What If Deku was Boa Hancock's descendant? Hope you're all having a nice day. Here we go, starting now. So last time we left off, Izuku had just beaten Katsuki in the actually no. Yeah, Izuku had just beaten Katsuki down while they were doing battle trial. And I don't remember if I said this, but Uraraka, I'm pretty sure it would all go the same. Uraraka would have, went up, found the bomb, and Izuku would have quickly went up there, and as he and Uraraka would have basically tag teamed Ida. Even though Ida's fast, Izuku literally is trained, so he would be, I forgot if it was Uraraka or Momo, but either way, whoever he was with, he would have ended up beating them. As I'm going to say, a couple days later, on one of the days, Izuku would be announced as the class president. Or not, yeah, pretty sure literally the next day, Izuku would be announced as the class president. Izuku pretty much being used to this, as Izuku would be announced as class president all the time in his old school, so he wouldn't feel any odd ways towards this, so he would be completely used to it. As of course, he would be eating lunch with Momo, Uraraka, and Ida, because I feel like he would have made friends with these guys, or he would have made friends with those two, Uraraka and Ida. And then of course, while they were eating, alarms would blare. They would all be scrambling through the door. He would have looked out the window and would have saw the fact that everybody, or that the people that broke in were the press. Izuku wanting to let everybody know, he would have used his strength as he would have kicked one kid in the side, launching him back some, as Izuku would have jumped up and began jumping from a person's head to head. As Izuku would have jumped on top of the sign that Ida was on, as he would yell out that it was just a press, and all they need to stop pushing, and as they all need to stop pushing and calm the hell down. What if this was an actual villain attack? Half of them would have already been dead because they're all just pushing and shoving and nobody's gotten out the goddamn door. Well, Izuku had said this, everybody else was sitting pause on that. Izuku was kind of low-key right, but then on top of that, some would be like, who does this guy think that he is, thinking that he could talk to us like that? As one kid would even say that, as Izuku would say that Izuku Midoriya, the class president of Class 1, that he's the class representative of Class 1A, and they all need to calm the hell down. Because there truly wasn't even anybody here. So they can all just go back to eating lunch. As some kids would have been like, alright, whatever. But some other kids would have taken that to heart. Seeing on how Izuku was just so demanding, and I guess some would have seen it as overconfident. But a lot of people would have just really ignored that fact about Izuku, what they saw about it, and would have just saw how handsome he was. Preferably majority of the girls. One of the girls that would have walked up to Izuku would be a girl from Class 1B. Hey. Oh, I said like hey 3 times already. Hey, my name's... Hey. Oh. Hey, you said your name was Izuku Midoriya, right? My name's Setsuna from Class 1B. Nice to meet you. Izuku would look over as he would say, hey, nice to meet you too. As Setsuna and Izuku would be having a very small conversation. As Izuku would walk back over to Yaoyorozu, Uraraka, and Ida. When this would happen, Yaoyorozu would be feeling some form of jealousy, even though her and Izuku aren't actually dating. But either way, on to the day of the USJ, Aizawa would announce that they're going to a field trip. They would go on to the field trip, or they would begin moving towards the field trip. When they would get there, of course, you already know what happened. 13 is talking about how dangerous quirks can be, and they all need to learn how to basically control their quirks so they aren't as dangerous. Of course, villains would appear as everybody would get split up. Izuku is basically what would happen when Izuku, Izuku, Suyu, and Mineta are all over the water. Izuku would put out his hands in the shape of a heart as he would yell out, "Slave!" Wait, no shit. No shit, it's slave arrow. Slave arrow! Izuku would just yell out, "Slave." Actually, no, I'm pretty sure Izuku would just put like his hands in the shape of a heart as he would just shoot out heart rays to turn everybody into stone. I was pretty sure like most people in the water have been like, oh yeah, that's a handsome looking kid. Too bad he gotta die. And some female villains that were in the water like, oh yeah, that kid's handsome. Too bad we gotta kill him. Duh. Stone. Sunk to the bottom of the whirlpool zone. Sound like a Sonic stage. Oh, the whirlpool zone. Anyway, they would quickly get out of there faster than Aizawa had even managed to take out all the villains. When this would happen, they would have all just sat there realizing that, like, hey, as he would basically tell Tsuyu and Mineta to quickly get back up to the entrance, while he's gonna go out and try and help a bunch of other people. Mineta would have been easily swayed by Izuku's words as he would be ready to go to the entrance, but Tsuyu didn't want to leave Izuku behind. So Tsuyu and Mineta will both be joining Izuku to go around helping people. Izuku while going around, I feel like Mineta would have just ran. Mineta wouldn't feel safe, so Mineta would be joining the two as they will quickly go over to the rain or the storm zone, as they would see Tokiyami basically handling a bunch of villains by himself. Which one villain was about to sneak up on behind Tokiyami, which Tokiyami had noticed last second. The villain would have had like a quirk where he would have basically caused he would have had like an acid quirk, something like Mina, right? But more potent. As Izuku would have did a flying kick, kicking the man in the side of his head, launching him into the side of a building, basically knocking the man out. Which Izuku would land looking at Tokiyami, and Tokiyami would be like, oh, hey Midoriya, thanks for the save there. Anyway, let's take out the rest of the villains here. Oh, hey, see you. Hey, Mineta. Bink, bonk, bink, 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 bonk, bink, 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 bink. He would take out the rest of the villains. Of course, they would move on to more and more people. They would have moved on to Todoroki. They would have moved on to Bakugo and Kirishima, Jiro, Momo, and Denki. Who else we got? They would, of course, moved on to like people like Sato, Koda, and other people. They would have just went around basically capturing or getting and saving everybody. Until at this point. And at this point is when Aizawa is completely injured and basically taken out of the way, but now they literally have all of Class 1A right there. In Class 1A, seeing that their teacher is injured, they will all decide to rush forward and try to attack. Which wouldn't go too well. They will all try to rush forward, but they wouldn't do all that well. As they would all be getting pummeled, thrown around, beaten. None of them would die, but some of them would get very heavily injured. But Tsuyu would have quickly grabbed Aizawa, quickly ran back up to the entrance, where as soon as Tsuyu would have gotten back up there with 13 Uraraka. With also Uraraka and Momo being up there as well. Also Jiro, Kota, and that's about it. As suddenly All Might would bust through the door with an angry look on his face, saying that he's here. He would quickly begin helping out all of Class 1A fight against the Nomu, but All Might would begin taking over himself as he would quickly take out the Nomu the same way that he did in canon. That's literally all of the USJ, not that far into the video. But either way, moving on, it will be, since Aizawa is still injured, it would be now announced that this time for the USJ, basically the next day, as Zuko would have 2 days to train. During these 2 days of training, Zuko would just do nothing but get his muscle up. He wouldn't really get his muscle up, he would just sort of try to enhance his body. Since it is only truly 2 days, Izuku doesn't think that he can do something as like work out. The only thing that he could think of for working out wise would just work out the entire day, which he could do that, or he could work on his quirk. What Izuku does, Izuku just goes around for the entire day just basically shooting slave and love arrows at people. You know, just constantly making people fall in love with him until the point where he literally just gets exhausted. But then after this 2 days, or after the first day, Izuku realized that he will be able to only do like 15 people to 30 people. That's how many shots he's able to do at least. And he was able to control all these people for around like an hour each. So 30 people, so for 30 hours, that was like shit. For 30 hours. So yeah, that was a really long time. That's a large amount of people. Next day, the OSJ would come up. Izuku got enough recommendations, so Bakugo would still make the same speech, quote unquote, as it would now be time for the running. Izuku wouldn't come in very high. His legs would be very powerful, so I would say that Izuku actually would come in second. Izuku would come in second. As I would say that either Todoroki or Bakugo, really doesn't matter. But I would say that maybe like Bakugo when they were coming up to the end, Bakugo would have shot off like a really large explosion, launched himself forward and would have gotten through. Deku would have of course, using his immense speed through his legs, would have gotten through second, and Todoroki would have gotten in third. At this point, it's time for the cavalry battle. Izuku would have chose the same exact team as in the original: Tokiyami, Mei Hajime, Uraraka. And of course, Todoroki wouldn't be honing in on Izuku. Todoroki would be homing in on Bakugo, which would have caused sort of like a rivalry between the two. But while this was happening, Izuku and his team would basically just be dominating, taking out and grabbing headbands off of like a bunch of other just random teams to get themselves at least a top 5. So they wouldn't really do anything with Katsuki or any of them. They wouldn't really be involved. And since they have such a high number count, honestly, they would just take headbands from like 15 other teams and they just call it quits. Just use Uraraka to float them up in the air. When she would land back down, she would begin spitting up, which Izuku would have just helped her out. But yeah, Yaoyorozu would have been slightly bummed on the fact that like she didn't even get a chance to prove herself towards Izuku. Because Izuku was just focused on, like other people and Uraraka the match. Or not even Uraraka, let's not make it sound like that. He would just be focused on, winning. Or at least getting into the running. After a little while before the fights were announced. Or no. Yeah. Before the night's around, inside the 1A waiting room, Todoroki would have declared war on Bakugo and Izuku. Unlike in the original where he only declared war on one person, he would declare war on 2 people. You only declare war on 2 people. So, anyway, Izuku would be just basically chatting with Yaoyorozu for a little while until finally the announce would be announced. Izuku would go out as Ojiro would warn Shinso about his quirk. Ojiro would warn Izuku about Shinso's quirk. And Izuku, of course, not being as sort of naive or knuckleheaded, I don't even know what to call it, just stupid, honestly. Stupid as he was in canon, he would just not talk the whole time and just dominate Shinso. Of course, moving on. Then I would want to get into Todoroki, but I don't think that there's much that Todoroki can even do. Izuku doesn't see it as like your competition, so unless you like take it seriously, I'm just gonna blow past you. No, he just sees it as you're not gonna do that. Okay, I'm gonna win either way. So to put it simply, Izuku would just be jumping around, hitting Katsuki, kicking Todoroki. He would be breaking through Todoroki's ice with his kicks. He would be landing mighty blows on Todoroki. And of course, he would hit like his occasional pistol kiss, his sleeve arrow. He would even like turn some parts of Katsuki into stone. Since Katsuki doesn't like love him, but Todoroki. Todoroki doesn't love Izuku. He's not gay, but he does like acknowledge like that Izuku is very handsome. So that's with that enough. Todoroki can still be turned into stone. And then on top of that, Izuku's kicks are really powerful. So Todoroki would lose. Like badly. And at that point, Izuku would be going against Ida, which Izuku would take out Ida easily. And then now it would be time for Izuku versus Katsuki. Also, when Yaoyorozu would lose against Tokiyami, Izuku would come for Yaoyorozu, of course. But back to the actual fight between Izuku and Katsuki. It would be sort of like a very fast fight. Like, it would be hard for most people to track. Basically, Izuku and Katsuki would be zipping around the arena, constantly landing like quick blows on each other. And since Izuku had already beaten Katsuki once, now Katsuki has like free giant reign over everything. So while Katsuki and Izuku are constantly blending or connecting blows against each other again and again, Izuku would finally decide that he should just end the fight. So Izuku would believe that Katsuki is completely ready to just rush forward like usual and do a normal attack. But so Izuku would run forward and try to land basically a fatal blow on Katsuki to knock him out and injure him. But Katsuki would have almost predicted the fact that Izuku was ready to end the fight, as he would have dodged out of the way, would have flown into the air, as Izuku would skid across the ground, trying to get some control as Katsuki would be preparing his howitzer impact. He would throw the howitzer impact forward, catching Izuku completely off guard, as Izuku would put up his own guard. Catching Izuku completely off guard, as Izuku would get sent flying out of the ring with burns all over his body. Izuku would lose, as Katsuki would be declared the winner, as Katsuki would feel immensely good about himself. Why does Izuku lose here? Well, honestly, there's not much that Izuku can do. Katsuki, I would say, is so fast that even if Izuku were to attempt to throw some shit out like a sleeve arrow or a pistol kiss, he wouldn't be able to do anything. It wouldn't even be able to touch Katsuki. Katsuki is just too fast. Izuku would be able to catch up with Katsuki, definitely, but Izuku's no marksman to like aim up the shots down the sight on his fucking fingertip and like snipe Katsuki to like turn him into stone, or to like hit him really hard or mind control him. And then on top of that, since it is just physical, Izuku would be just basically kicking explosions and not even, he would be landing hits on Katsuki, but they would never be strong enough for Izuku to actually be like, well, I guess. Or no, I'm sorry. It would never be strong enough for Izuku to truly acknowledge that he's doing any actual significant damage. He's doing damage, but not significant. He would like rush forward, kick Katsuki in the side. Since Katsuki's moving so fast, Katsuki would have basically been like, damn, well, gotta brush it off. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 spin in a circle, boom. Basically smack Izuku with an explosion. So, yeah, from hand-to-hand combat, close range, Katsuki loses. But in open terrain, Katsuki would win. Until Izuku, and when that would happen, Izuku would realize he may be able to control more people, but he can't aim for his goddamn life. But Izuku would still do really good. So Izuku would have gotten an internship as All Might would have offered one. As I don't think All Might would have offered one for all. But Izuku would have went to the same, as Yaoyorozu, the same internship. As the only reason why Izuku would have joined is just because he didn't really know anybody else to join. The only person that he could think of was somebody like Snipe, just to help him out with his aiming, and even still, honestly, there really wouldn't even be a need for that. As far as aiming wise, Snipe, well, no. Would Izuku actually go for Snipe? I feel like, yeah. Like if Snipe was there and Snipe was an option, Izuku would definitely go for Snipe. Snipe is the gun hero, that shot up Shigaraki. But either way, yeah. So Izuku would go for Snipe, and to put it simply, Izuku would just learn how to aim better, significantly better. But anyway, Izuku would Or Hosu would still get attacked. Izuku would still run around trying to find Ida after abandoning or ditching Snipe. Izuku would still find Ida about to get killed by Stain, as this is when Stain and Izuku begin their own little spout. But Izuku would still end up texting Todoroki. Actually, no. Todoroki and Izuku aren't like friends, so it would just be Izuku on his own. I feel like Izuku could still text Todoroki to be like, hey, me and Ida are fighting Stain. Can we get some help? So even though Izuku and Todoroki aren't like official friends, Todoroki and Izuku still see each other as like, oh yeah, we're cool, I guess. And I would even say like a little bit after the fight, they would have talked a little bit better. Or would have talked a little bit more, as I'll say, even after the fight, they would have became friends. So yeah, they would be friends. But either way, Izuku while fighting Stain, Izuku would have basically taken one of Stain's knives and would have been deflecting Stain, constantly deflecting, parrying, landing in own kicks of his own, until after a while Stain would have almost gotten a cut in on Izuku until like a small fireball would rush in and almost hit Stain. And Izuku would have gotten out of the way. After this point, the rest of the Stain fight would have honestly been going the same. Not gonna lie, Izuku would run forward, slide down his leg, jump over his head, boom! Come up with the plan, get Stain into the air, Ida and Izuku, boom! Honestly, not much would change. But after some time, Endeavor, Snipe, and whatever Ida's internship hero was, they would all appear, they would all take Stain. Stain would do the same thing as normal, as for sure it's time to move on after that. Yes. But just to make sure I don't even go through the whole goddamn series through this point, I would say that Izuku, or no, not Izuku. This is where I'm going to be ending this off here. I know, very sweet, very quick, very simple, but I low-key do want to get to other what ifs. And on top of that, I also before anybody just want to address this on my own accord. The reason I know I keep saying I have a bunch of other what ifs. I've recently swapped phones, so I've swapped data, but during the data swap, for some reason, it didn't save everything. So all the literal recordings that I had 15 of them. I was ready to drop each day. They all literally vanished into thin air. So I'm recording all of these over again, sadly. But either way, it's cool. It's fine. It's okay. It's not. But this is AJ the One signing out. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. I would like to shout out all the people that commented on my Attack on Titan video. I got y'all. Don't worry. I got y'all. Y'all W's. Thank you. Thank you, Titan Texas Stories, for sharing. W-Mass. Got me grinning. Anyway, AJ the One officially signing out.